We do know that the variants are in the country. We do know that at least 2 of the variants are in the state.
Coronavirus variants popping up all around the country. We'll hear from Spokane County Health Officer Frank Velasquez on why we haven't seen any cases here locally.
Also tonight, new information about the 2019 death of a WSU freshman, why the Pullman Police Department has decided not to recommend manslaughter charges in his death.
If the FDA approves emergency use authorization for the 1-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine later this week, it'll be in a position to ship out 3 to 4 million doses next week. Tonight, we explain why the single shot could speed up the vaccination process for Americans.
After sunshine today, now we're tracking snow headed our way. A winter weather advisory in your forecast next.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM News at 6 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
Welcome everyone, I'm Whitney Ward.
Spokane police are seeing a surge in shootings so far this year. Police have responded to 26 shootings. That has tripled the number reported in the same 2-month time frame compared to the last 3 years.
Tonight, KREM 2's Amanda Rowley investigated the trend and shares how police are trying to address it.
Spokane police are investigating 26 shootings since January. Just this afternoon, though, SPD confirmed 2 more shootings just in the last 2 days. One happened early this morning near Glass Park in North Spokane. The other happened yesterday at apartments near Joe Albee Stadium. That brings the latest total since January 1st to 28. That's triple the number of shootings police have seen in previous years during the same 2-month period.
We don't know why there's an increase right now. We would sure like to understand that. One thing I can say is many of these shootings have involved young teen or young adult males.
Spokane police officer John O'Brien adds the one difference noticed today compared to the past years is we're going through COVID, which also means many young adults are not attending in-person schooling. Police say most of these shootings are gang-related. The department could not share where most of these crimes are happening in Spokane because most are still under investigation. But we do know the intersection of Fisk and 5th on the lower South Hill is the site of 2 different shootings.
Many of these shootings involve people that are acquainted with each other. And we don't know where that person's going to be when they're the intended target. It might be their residence, it might be a friend's house, it could be a business.
Spokane Major Crimes and Safe Street Task Force are collaborating with other agencies to address this escalation in shootings. Patrols have increased, and the department is working with community partners to educate young people about the risks with gang involvement. Some of that community effort, though, is already at work. Former Reverend Lonnie Mitchell says discussions and programs are taking place at the Carl Maxey Center, the MLK Center, and the Family Life Center.
As a partnership where we're able to sit down and talk to the police department and try to figure out some things, how we could work together.
He says these trends are not going to change overnight, but change will come as long as the community works together.
I believe that because we are coming together as community leaders, I think we have the answers, and we're going to keep on working toward that.
Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
We also have new information tonight on the 2019 death of WSU freshman Sam Martinez. The Pullman Police Department has decided not to recommend manslaughter charges in that case.
But police are recommending lesser charges against several people in relation to his death. KREM 2's Ian Smay live in the newsroom tonight with the latest on exactly what police recommended to the Whitman County Prosecutor's Office. Ian?
Yeah, Mark. Pullman Police Chief Gary Jenkins said investigators did not have the evidence to recommend manslaughter charges, but other charges were recommended for 7 people in the case. Martinez was a freshman from Bellevue, whose family said loved soccer and sports in general. His mother described him as having a smile that could light up the room. According to the Pullman Police report, Martinez died from alcohol poisoning after an Alpha Tau Omega fraternity event in November 2019. The coroner's office said his blood alcohol level was .372 at the time of his death. According to the report, fraternity members told officers they noticed Martinez was drinking, and they tried to get him to vomit, but they couldn't. They said they left him on a couch to recover. He was found unconscious and not breathing the next morning, 4 hours after he had died. We are not releasing the names of the people involved because they have not been charged as of today. Police recommended charges for hazing and supplying alcohol to a minor for some of those involved. Hazing is a misdemeanor, and furnishing liquor to a minor is a gross misdemeanor. However, we should point out that the statute of limitations for a hazing charge is 1 year. We are past that point today. Chief Jenkins said they still recommended hazing charges because the evidence is there and they still want it documented. He also said the investigation was delayed because of the large number of witnesses officers had to interview, most of which don't live in Pullman full-time, along with forensics work. The Whitman County Prosecutor's Office can still decide to press manslaughter charges. They told us earlier today they are reviewing the recommendations. A WSU spokesperson told KREM today they did not want to comment on this update. Back to you.
All right, Ian, thank you very much. Well, just when most of the snow here across the inland Northwest has completely melted, we are expecting more just in time for tomorrow morning.
Yeah, winter's not over just yet, I guess. Tom, Sherry, what does this all mean for the morning commute tomorrow?
I wish that wasn't the truth, but it is. We're looking for a bit of snow to fall tomorrow. Anywhere between 1 to 3 inches of snow in the Spokane area, 2 to 4 inches of snow over towards Coeur d'Alene, and up around Sandpoint, you'll get a little bit less amounts of snowfall. And then that's where that winter weather advisory is in effect. Everywhere it's shaded in blue. And where you see pink over towards the Okanagan Highlands and in the Cascades, we're looking for 8 to 12 inches of snow in those locations, meaning the passes are not going to be in good shape tomorrow morning. Right now, we've had an absolutely beautiful sunset, and look at your gorgeous city, folks. We have a current temperature of 34 degrees. Not tracking any rain across the area right now. Day planner forecast calling for mostly cloudy skies later tonight, overnight, and then, of course, morning snow. It will be windy as well. I should mention that. 20 to 30 to 35 mile per hour wind gusts at times, and then again, that snowfall. Maybe changing to rain in the afternoon and the high of 41. Right now, the weekend looks dry, though. We'll look for 40 on Saturday, 42 on Sunday. I'll check your 10-day outlook coming up in a couple of minutes.
Sounds good, Tom. Thank you so much. We have some new information tonight about scheduling vaccine appointments at the Spokane Arena. To catch up after those shipping delays and to focus on people who need their second dose, KREM 2 has confirmed there will not be any new appointments offered for the first full week of March. So instead, the state says they're only going to be administering second doses. That's to ensure that those people still get vaccinated within that 28-day time frame. So here's what we know really about what the next 2 weeks are going to look like. Yesterday, we know the arena did open back up for the first time actually in several days because of the weather and shipping delays. So now they have 8,000 doses to administer of the vaccine for just this week alone. That's 4,000 doses that were delayed from last week, and then another 4,000 doses that would have been for this week. Next week, they are only going to be vaccinating those who already had appointments or who had to be rescheduled from last week, which ends up being about 260 people an hour just to catch up. So at this point, we still don't know when the next group of appointments will actually become available. The Department of Health also isn't saying yet how people will be able to schedule those appointments because they don't have that website up and running yet. For the latest, though, on all of this, as well as a link to other places where you can get your COVID vaccine, just text the word vaccine to 509-448-2000. We'll send it all straight to your phone.
Big news on the vaccine front today. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration announced that the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine has met the requirements for emergency use authorization, finding that it is safe and effective. And that means it is one step closer to being released for use here in the U.S. So here are a few key takeaways. The Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine only requires 1 shot instead of 2 like the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. It was found to be 72% effective at preventing COVID-19 in the U.S. However, in a larger global trial, it was found to be 66% effective against multiple strains of the virus. The company does plan to seek emergency use authorization from the FDA this next week, rather. Meantime, a KREM 2 viewer, Ken, reached out to us to ask about the vaccine, writing, "Why get the Johnson & Johnson less effective vaccine? I've had COVID. I never want it again. Is it worth it? I believe I only want the Moderna or Pfizer vaccine." So I took his question to an expert. Why would someone opt for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine when the efficacy is lower than the Pfizer and Moderna?
Because Johnson & Johnson is a one and done. So it's a single dose regimen. And so if you think about on a population level, if you're trying to vaccinate a whole bunch of people very quickly, there's potential bottlenecks with supply, distribution, and administration. It really makes a lot of sense to get everybody protected as quickly as possible with the one and done. And, 72% in the United States is pretty good protection, rather than needing both of those doses, like with Moderna and Pfizer, to get to that 94, 95% protection.
So that is Dr. Pyle Coley, and I'm going to have more with her tomorrow in one of my Verify segments, where we answer whether someone who still has antibodies after recovering from COVID-19 should still get vaccinated. That story coming up tomorrow on KREM 2 News at 11. Now to tracking the coronavirus. Today, the Spokane Regional Health District reported 105 new COVID-19 cases in the county. They also reported 8 new deaths. There are currently 58 people hospitalized. Meantime, in North Idaho today, the Panhandle Health District reported 69 new COVID-19 cases. There are no new deaths, and currently 22 people are hospitalized.
Well, this afternoon, Spokane Public Schools sent a statement out to parents about bus drivers who are testing positive for COVID-19. 36 bus drivers who contract with the district are now out of work due to contracting or at least being exposed to the virus.
And some parents say that has caused widespread delays for their kids getting to school, partly because of the route changes so drivers can pick up more kids. Morgan Trow has the latest from the district tonight.
The statement from Spokane Public Schools says they are aware there have been reports that Durham hasn't been following all of the safety protocols and precautions, but they are working with the company. I talked to a parent today who is concerned.
Parents have had to be flexible regarding when their kids can go back to in-person learning. Almost a year after the pandemic began, parents say additional hurdles feel exhausting.
You know, like I said, I don't know if the bus drivers had a convention and all were together and hung out, but something has happened.
36 bus drivers for Spokane Public Schools are off work right now. According to Durham School Services, half of the team members have tested positive for the coronavirus, and the other have been exposed and are being tested. Single mother of 3, Colleen Owens, has 2 kids who are in school learning, one in 1st grade and the other in 4th. She says the outbreak brings 2 main issues to light. First, her kids' health and safety. Second, being able to manage her finances.
And also with the 36 drivers being out, that means the buses are being more filled. So that's more kids on the routes because they're having combined routes. I'm really lucky that I can even afford to drive them every day so far this week, because every day we've missed the bus.
Her kids go to Balboa Elementary through SBS's HEART program. This means Owens and her kids are living outside of the school district. She says it is already hard enough living on a fixed income. Now, the bus route changes are eating into her budget.
You know, usually I don't have money, truthfully. You know, and I wouldn't have gas the whole week to take them back and forth. And it gets embarrassing, but it's the truth, so.
Her kids have missed the bus because she does not know when it will arrive. She says Durham told her it will come between 8 and 9, but with the cold winter, she doesn't want her kids waiting outside that long. She says every day she wakes up unsure if it's even worth it to have her kids learn in person, since she feels unheard by the school.
The thing that would make it better is if the bus system or if the school would just communicate with us.
We have reached out to SPS in Durham, who say they are working together to minimize delays.
SPS adds that they believe the COVID-19 cases originated outside of the workplace, and there is no indication that transmission happened on the buses. Reporting in Spokane, Morgan Trow, KREM 2 News.
All right, still ahead tonight, the coronavirus variants are popping up all around the country.
So coming up, we're going to hear from the Spokane County Health Officer on why they haven't been found here locally yet.